Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Midlands online worship service. My name is Susan Meyer and I will be the worship associate for this morning's service. A special welcome today to our worship leader, Matthew Pargeter Villarreal. Matt is a Master's of Divinity graduate from Bright Divinity School with a concentration in sexual and gender justice and a candidate for ministry with the UUA. He also served as chaplain at Baylor All Saints Medical Center in Fort Worth, Texas. He will start an internship at First Unitarian Albuquerque in August. Matt and his husband, Gabriel, are currently living in Albuquerque, New Mexico. If you haven't already, please type in the chat box who you are and who you have brought with you today. Unitarian Universalism is a welcoming and inclusive religion. It encourages us to keep open hearts and minds because our own experience, conscience, and reason are the final authorities in religion. It affirms the inherent worth and dignity of every person and that we are all interconnected to each other and the earth. If you are visiting us today, a special welcome to you. We appreciate you spending some of your Sunday morning with us. If you have any questions, please let us know in the chat box, by phone, or through our Facebook page. If you have been attending for some time and have come to feel that this is your spiritual home and are considering becoming a member of the fellowship, please contact our office administrator, Wendy Altmeyer, or let us know your interest in the chat box. If you have a chalice or a candle at home and would like to join in our chalice lighting remotely, now would be a good time to get that ready. We will include joys and sorrows this morning, as we normally do during the service. If you would want to find the participant icon and raise your hand for that. We will now move to announcements. You will see them on your screen. Next week's service, Humanity's Freedom, is on Sunday, July 18th at 10:30 a.m. Martin Luther King Jr. was a powerful orator and a highly charged individual. His fight for equal rights led to nonviolent protests and the creation of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. If he were still with us into the new century, where would his ideas lead this nation and the world? Join Doug Barth in exploring Dr. King's policies in a new light, reflecting on what it means to be free, led by UUFOM member Doug Barth. Today is our UUFOM picnic at 1 p.m. Come to the fellowship for some fellowship and fun. Bring your own food and drinks. Tables and chairs will be set up and there is a bathroom on site. The fellowship office transitioned to a new Facebook group entitled UUFOM News. All Sunday service information, news, and events will be posted on the UUFOM News group only, along with the information in the weekly candle flame and our website. The RE team is planning outdoor gatherings to keep us connected during the summer. Join us Saturday, July 31st from 1 to 3 at the Spray Park on Longview Early Childhood Center. Please contact Amanda Van Rager-Morter to sign up. Start collecting water this summer to share during our in-gathering celebration in September. The virtual fellowship office will be open Thursdays through Sundays during the summer months. After today's service, please go to uufom.org Sunday Feedback and provide feedback for today's service. And finally, submit an article for the weekly Candle Flame newsletter by Wednesday at 5 p.m. During the summer months, the newsletter will be circulated on Fridays. If you need a paper copy of any form, or you wish to be added to our newsletter, or have any questions about any of these announcements, please email Wendy at office@uufom.org. Today is Birthday Recognition Sunday. If you have had or will have a birthday in July, or if we missed yours in June, please raise your hand on the participant area of your screen and or type your birth date in the chat box. Wendy will acknowledge you by name.
Roy and Donna Wedge, happy birthday.
Now with your mics muted, please join Melanie in singing Happy Birthday, Everybody.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear everybody. Happy birthday to you.
If you have a candle or chalice at home and would like to light it now, please do so. Please join in our chalice lighting words today, titled Community Chalice Lighting by Atticus Palmer. We call this light before us and hope that we may always remain a strong community, working together to make the world a better place. When we are grieving or sad, when we are challenged, when we need help, this flame guides us out of darkness. When we are cheerful, when we celebrate, when we accomplish a great task, when we return to a place that makes us happy, the chalice reminds us to share our happiness with others. Now Matt will share our opening words.
Thank you, Susan. Good morning, everyone. Our opening words are titled A Renewed Hope for This World by Nathan Ryan. Be it real or metaphor, whatever is in your backpack or your briefcase or your purse that you've brought into this sanctuary that is weighing you down, leave it behind. Whatever you are carrying that is keeping you distracted or caught up in shame or guilt or hopelessness, leave it behind. If you need it, it will be there when we're done. But for this hour, just let it go. Come into this place with open hearts. Come into this place with a soul that has remembered how to be tender again. Come into this place with a renewed hope for this world. Come into this place ready to build a world we've always been worthy of and have always dreamed of.
Thank you, Matt. With your mics muted, please join First Unitarian Church of Baltimore in singing our opening hymn, number 121, We'll Build a Land by Carolyn McDade.
We'll build a land where we find
Now Matt will share A Time for All Ages.
Our story for today is entitled, What Do You Do with the Chance? Written by Kobe Yamada and illustrated by May Beeson. One day, I got a chance. It just seemed to show up. It acted like it knew me, as if it wanted something. I didn't know why it was here. What do you do with a chance? I wondered. It fluttered around me. It brushed up against me. It circled me as if it wanted me to grab it. I started to reach for it, but I was unsure and pulled back. And so it flew away. I thought about it a lot. I wished I had taken my chance. I realized I had wanted it, but I still didn't know if I had the courage. When another chance came around, I wasn't so sure, but I decided to try. I went to reach for it, but I missed and fell. I was embarrassed. I felt foolish. It seemed like everyone was looking at me. I decided I never wanted to feel this way again. So after that, whenever a chance came along, I ignored it. And the more I ignored them, the less they came around. Until one day I noticed that I hadn't seen a chance in quite a while. It was as if they had all disappeared. I started to worry. What if I don't get another chance? I know I acted like I didn't care, but the truth was I did. I still wanted to take a chance, but I was afraid. And I wasn't sure if I would ever be brave enough. Then I thought, maybe I don't have to be brave all the time. Maybe I just need to be brave for a little while at the right time. I realized it was up to me. I promised myself that if I ever got another chance, I wasn't going to hold back. If I got another chance, I was going to be ready. Then, one seemingly ordinary day, I saw something shining far off in the distance. Is it possible? I hoped. Could this be my chance? I had to find out. I ran as hard and as fast as I could toward it. I don't know how to explain it, but the second I let go of my fears, I was full of excitement. It wasn't that I was no longer afraid, but now my excitement was bigger than my fear. As I got closer, I could see that this was a really huge chance. But this time I was ready. As it came by, I reached out and grabbed it. I held on with all my might. It felt so good to soar, to fly. to be free. I now see that when I hold back, I miss out. And I don't want to miss out. There's just so much I want to see and do and discover. So, what do you do with the chance? You take it, because it just might be the start of something incredible. I invite you now to center yourselves and enter into a time of reflection, meditation, or prayer. Today's meditation is Help Us Make This Church a Refuge from the World by Richard Trudeau. O God of life, help us make this church a refuge from the world, a place where the rules are different. May this be a place, for example, where no experience is necessary, where people are encouraged to risk new things, where a university administrator can try their hand at plumbing if they want, where a plumber can help manage the finances, or a banker can teach 5-year-olds. May this be a place where people always feel that their efforts have been worthwhile and their energy well spent. And may this be a place where, as in a children's baseball league, everyone gets to play. Oh God, help us make this church a refuge from the world, a place where the rules are different. May no one feel invisible here or feel worried about what others might be thinking of them. May no one be bored here. If a person isn't interested in what the minister is talking about today, may he or she be excited by the music or by a conversation at coffee hour. May this be a place where people are touched, if not by something said, then perhaps by something sung, or by the light coming through the windows, or by the sense that the people who come here support one another. May this be a place where everyone feels safe, safe to follow their thoughts wherever they lead, safe to believe whatever they must, and safe to share whatever is on their minds and whatever is in their hearts. Oh God, help us make this church a refuge from the world, a place where the rules are different, a place where our wells can fill up again, where we can be refreshed and renewed, so that when we return to the world with our batteries recharged, we can help transform the world into a place where the rules are different. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. Now we will have an interlude, Home by Matthew Hall.
Alabama, Arkansas, I do love my mutton pie, not the way I do love you. Well, holy moly, me oh my, you're the apple of my eye. Girl, I've never loved one like you. Oh man, you're my best friend. I scream into the nothingness. There ain't nothing that I need. Well, hot and heavy pumpkin pie, chocolate candy, Jesus Christ. Ain't nothing please me more than you. Home, let me come home. is wherever I'm with you. Let me come home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Take me home, Mother, I'm coming home. I'll follow you into the park, through the jungle, through the dark. Girl, I've never loved one like you. Well, moats and boats and waterfalls, alleyways and payphone calls. I've been everywhere with you. We'll laugh until we think we'll die, barefoot on a summer night. Nothing new is sweeter than with you. And in the streets you run free, like it's only you and me. Geez, you're something to see. Let me come home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Come home. Home is wherever I'm with you. Take me home. Daddy, I'm coming home.
Our reading this morning is from the 12th chapter of the Gospel according to Mark, verses 28 through 34, New Revised Standard Version translation. One of the scribes came near and heard them disputing with one another. And seeing that he answered him well, he asked him, "Which commandment is first of all?" Jesus answered, "The first is, 'Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these." Then the scribe said to him, "You are right, teacher. You have truly said that he is one, and besides him there is no other. And to love him with all the heart, with all the understanding, and with all the strength. And to love one's neighbor as oneself. This is more important than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices." When Jesus saw that he answered wisely, he said to him, You are not far from the kingdom of God. After that, no one dared ask him any question. There is a good chance that most people are familiar with these words from Mark's gospel. Even if you were fortunate enough to grow up as a lifelong Unitarian Universalist and did not grow up constantly hearing these words like myself and my other former Christian counterparts, I'm willing to venture a guess that the words love thy neighbor have been mentioned in casual conversation more than a few times. As a graduate of a mainline Protestant Christian seminary, I am not quick to be the one to question the words of Scripture. However, as a faithful Unitarian Universalist, I know how to do nothing else. My issue is with the statement in chapter 12, verse 33, about how this is more important than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices. I'm not saying this because I am in any way advocating for burnt offerings and sacrifices. I am saying this because Unitarian Universalism has distinguished itself throughout its history as a faith tradition because of the actions that we have undertaken in trying to truly live out our faith. The two religions that comprise our name are in and of themselves statements that were born out of the specific reactions to the prevailing dogma of the time. Unitarianism rejected the belief in the Trinity and of God being three persons in one, affirming the oneness of God and removing a firmly held belief in the presence of original sin. Universalism rejected the idea of eternal damnation and professed that salvation was available to all people. Throughout much of the 19th and 20th centuries, Unitarians and Universalists were not content with simply proclaiming these ideas from the safety of the pew. They went out into the world and spoke up and spoke out about a variety of issues that they felt were plaguing the society that they lived in, from slavery to the right of women to vote, to the rights of sexual and racial minorities, to the rights of refugees and immigrants to this very day. For both faith traditions, this was exactly the way that they sought to practice the kind of neighbor love to which Jesus was referring. As the late UU minister Forrest Church called it, deeds, not creeds. Yet, while we as UUs have not been content to keep our deeply held beliefs of egalitarianism and radical inclusivism to within our church walls, we sometimes forget that those spaces are places that those beliefs need to be practiced as well. Our fellow UUs who inhabit those spaces are not any less deserving of the same kindness and compassion that we share to our marginalized siblings. This is a problem with which we who are members of many small congregations are all too familiar. When you are part of a congregation that consists of 50 members or less, chances are that you have met all 50 or less members at some point during your time at that congregation. It is likely that you know all of them on a first-name basis. It is also likely that they all know you on a first-name basis, and, even better or even worse, depending on how you look at it, they all have your phone number. As small congregations and small communities, usually the only ones in our areas who know what Unitarian Universalism is and share its beliefs, we tend to function less as a church and more as a family of choice to many who gather. And as much as families love to come together and celebrate life's joys and accomplishments and unite for a common project or cause, we also tend to fight and to disagree and to swear up and down that we know what the best course of action for someone is and how dare that anyone else could see otherwise. We also know that, unlike churches of several hundred people where disagreements may not be felt strongly, those of us from small congregations know if we have a disagreement with someone else from our church on Sunday, we know that we may be lucky to escape them for 6 days before we will re-encounter them in church next Sunday, sitting in their same spot in the sanctuary. More realistically, We know that we will probably have 3 missed calls by the time we arrive home from other church members wondering what happened. So, how are we to grow as small congregations when we are all too familiar with behaving as a family, which British author Dodie Smith refers to as, quote, that dear octopus from whose tentacles we never quite escape, nor in our inmost hearts ever quite wish to? My response to this question begins with a medieval Jewish story that is often told in UU churches and with which many of you gathered here today might be familiar. A rabbi spoke with God about heaven and hell. I will show you hell, God said, and they went into a room which had a large pot of stew in the middle. The smell was delicious, but around the pot sat people who were famished and desperate. All were holding spoons with very long handles which reached the pot, but because the handles of the spoons were longer than their arms, it was impossible to get the stew back to their mouths. Now I will show you heaven, God said, and they went into an identical room. There was a similar pot of stew, and the people had identical spoons, but they were all nourished and happy. It is simple, God said. You see, they have learned to feed each other. The key to success for a small congregation is a gift of which many in small congregations are already aware: how to leverage the talent of the community which they have gathered. It is easy in a small congregation to bemoan the lack of resources that one has. It is easy to fall into the trap of thinking and saying, it would be so nice to do, or so nice to have this, if only. Stagnation only occurs when no movement or activity takes place. Simply because a congregation has less than 50 people does not speak to the fact that the members of the congregation cannot work together and pool together the specific knowledge and resources of their members to achieve the future and the happiness that the congregation desires. However, it is that much more important in smaller congregations that the work is done by all the members, not just the 5 or 6 people who are on the board of trustees, or the handful of people that we know will not tell us no when we ask them to volunteer for committees. Burnout is another real danger that we who are members of small congregations run the risk of facing. It is easy for optimistic members who have the enthusiasm to take on the work of trying to create new programs and innovative ideas to easily become encumbered and feel that they are alone, the only ones who are trying to do anything for the future of the church. This is precisely where the community and the familial spirit of the small congregation needs to play its part more than ever. It is up to the other members to help shoulder the burden and to take care of its members who are trying to do so much. As the character of God mentions in the medieval Jewish story, we must learn to feed each other so that we are not famished and desperate. We must also recognize that our communities are intergenerational and that both the older and younger generations have different and distinct perspectives that all can learn from. For the younger generations, and I may be slightly biased as I consider myself part of them, we are the ones that are coming of age and coming into adulthood in today's world. We are all too aware of what the political and social challenges are that people and families are facing. We are the ones who know that even though those that have come before us have done so much and have fought so hard for all of the freedoms that we enjoy, something for which we are ever grateful, there is still work that needs to be done for issues such as climate change and inclusion for racial and sexual minorities. We are also aware that the Unitarian Universalist Church has been fighting this fight for years. It is what has attracted many of us to join the UU Church and what has emboldened many of us to continue to be the voice within Unitarian Universalism that continues to answer the call of love. The younger generation is also willing to take on much of what the previous generations of the congregation have attempted and have not been successful. We are here because we know how glorious our small congregations have the potential to be. For the older generations, you are the ones that are regarded as the keepers of wisdom within the hallowed walls of our churches. You are the ones that have been there through the early struggles and the earlier battles that have previously divided or threatened to divide the church. Some of you may have been there from the church's very beginnings. Some of you may be the one who were responsible for helping bring the church into a reality in your community. You have seen what has worked and what has not, and you have had the opportunity to learn from the mistakes of the church along the way. You were not only respected for the place of wisdom that you hold, you are also seen as a role model of behavior to the younger generations. How you act and how you respond to each other is the message of how those who are coming into the church are going to view the sacred space as a place of welcome and as a place of sanctuary that church has historically represented. The older generation is also one that has been witnesses to change and both the transformative and destructive power that has been brought among communities.
Sorry, I'm having trouble connecting
Change
to the
can be a
internet.
scary
It
endeavor.
looks like an issue with the router and Echo device, so try restarting them. Unplug both of them, then plug the router back in. Wait 30 seconds. Once the router is back on and connected to the internet, plug in the Echo device.
Change can be a scary endeavor, but it is the younger generations who are looking to the older generations to bring their support for change for the future, while also sharing their wisdom about the past so that the church does not make the same mistakes and can not only grow, but flourish as well. As members of small congregations, we are aware that there are many challenges and obstacles that may impede our way along the road to success. We are aware that we often feel like we are on deserted islands of our own creation, with only the few people and the small resources that we have. We are both equally proud of what we have managed to create so far, and utterly terrified of changing anything for fear of losing what we have made. Yet the fact that we may be small and insignificant and in number cannot and should not diminish the fact that we have a voice that we want the larger communities that we inhabit to hear. African speaker and writer Sobonfu Sameh uses the image of the tribe when she speaks of community. Community is the spirit, the guiding light of the tribe, whereby people come together to fulfill a specific purpose and take care of one another. I invite you to truly carry that statement in your heart the rest of the week before you gather as a community again. And especially as we begin the cautious work of beginning to figure out how we can meet together in person in ways that are safe for all of us. We are all part of beautiful communities that have survived the most insurmountable of odds. May that experience make us stronger as we look forward toward the future. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Thank you all for coming. It is a pleasure to be gathered as a family with you here today.
Thank you, Matt, for that thought-provoking message. We affirm the work of this fellowship and its mission. Sorry, I lost my screen. I'll try again. We affirm the work of this fellowship and its mission through our time, talent, and treasure. We continue to rely on you paying your pledges and providing what you would otherwise drop in the collection plate. Please give as generously as you can, and may what you give bring you joy. Thank you for your generosity. Let us share now in an offertory, Open My Heart by Henry S. Fleury, played for us today by Melanie Willison. Thank you, Melanie. Now with your mics muted, please join Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout in singing our closing hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit, by Jim Scott, accompanied by Allison Hellers.
Gather the Spirit, harvest the bar, our separate fires will kindle on flame. Witness the mystery of this hour, our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in whole compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding once more. Gather in peace, strength, sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy, in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Our closing words today are Universal Rhythm by Israel Bufarid. My friends, when you go from here, know that our hearts are always in a holy place, for we are always connected to one another. Know that deep down our hearts beat in one universal rhythm. May we each find the sacred space to hear it. Thank you to everyone who helped make this service possible. A special thanks to Matt. We wish you all the best in your internship. And thank all of you for joining us today. Following the postlude, we will have our virtual coffee hour. We invite you to stay and chat if you can. You may choose to stay in the main room and speak with Matt, or join one of the breakout rooms for conversation and fellowship. Melanie will now play a postlude, an excerpt from Claude Debussy's titled Dr. Gratis ad Parsenum. Sorry. Please take this time of transition to continue to contemplate the service experience we shared this morning, or if you need to take a break before returning for conversation. Whatever you may encounter in the coming week, please know that the love of this community goes with you. Until we are together again, many blessings.